How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? It's been a while since we had any tanks or mechs up on the channel, and this game right here is the reason why. I have been obsessed with playing Mordheim, City of the Dam, an early access game currently available on Steam. So today I thought I would introduce you guys to this game, give you a quick rundown of it as quickly as I could, and just kind of introduce it to you, and let's see if you guys like this game as much as I do. So those of you who are, if you're not familiar with Mordheim, this is a kind of a fantasy melee small unit tactics game which takes place in the Warhammer fantasy setting. Mordheim is a city that has been struck by a comet. Depending on which faction you play, there are various cool fluff kind of explanations for what the comet is. The comet breaks apart into Weirdstone, which is scattered across the city. Weirdstone has all kinds of magical properties, and lots of people want the Weirdstone for various different reasons. So your job is to take on the role of one of these small factions and go into the city and try to survive. Fight your way through the city of Mordheim, gather as much Weirdstone as you can, and get it out to your patrons without getting your head chopped off in the process. So if we take a look, let's say we wanted to start a new campaign, you can see the 4 different factions that are currently available in Mordheim, City of the Dam. You have your human mercenaries, which I think are kind of your most well-rounded of the 4 warbands. If you're not familiar with this type of gameplay or this type of setting, you're not really sure about what you're doing, you should probably check out the human mercenaries at first. They're kind of the most forgiving of the 4 warbands. Then you have the Skaven, the Ratmen. What's their specialty? Their specialty, I think, really to me, it's agility and speed. They get around the map really well. They're very fast little skittery rat things. Very high agility they tend to have, so they can climb and jump down very well, and they can do a lot of damage with the right weapon set. They don't have a lot of toughness though. They don't take hits very well. They rely on their dodge, and then if you do hit them, it does a lot of damage. So keep that in mind if you want to take out the Skaven. I haven't played them myself yet, but that's what I've seen. Then you got the Sisters of Sigmar, my first warband that I played. How are they different from the human warband? Well, they are a little bit more kind of churchy going, so they rely on faith. They have a little better leadership, but they have a little less flexibility. They rely on like warhammers and heavier weapons like that, so they tend to be slower and they have no ranged ability whatsoever. But they tend to have more shields. They tend to work with heavier armor more often, so they take hits a little better. That's kind of how they make that trade. Interesting, like the name implies, Sisters of Sigmar, they are all females as well. So if you're one of my female viewers out there and you want to be able to identify with a character and not be forced to play some dude, this is your chance. Sisters of Sigmar, they're in there for you. And then you have the Cult of the Possessed, which is really got a lot of flavor, but how do I say this? They can be very challenging to play. Why are they so challenging, Scout? Well, their leader, as you can see, this guy right here that I'm mousing over, he's not really a melee combatant as opposed to the other 3. He's more of a support character. So you're not going to be able to throw him into combat like you could the other 3 to pull yourself out of a bad situation. Additionally, your warriors tend to be crazed a little more so than the other 3 factions. Dark Souls, for example, which are one of your starting henchmen classes, are crazed. They will not fall back. So if you get them into a bad situation, you can't just tell them disengage and come back to your support. No, they're not going to do that. They're insane. So you do have to put a little more effort into the Cult of the Possessed. What you get in exchange, though, is you get some very, very powerful characters. Once you get a first couple of spells learned for this guy here, your leader, your warband leader, he is very, very powerful. And once you get mutations going, that's right, the Cult of the Possessed, they play with Weirdstone and all kinds of evilness. They will start mutating, and some of your warriors can get very powerful indeed. So that's kind of your 4 warbands, kind of an overview of them. Again, can't stress it enough, if you're new, I would probably recommend just try out the human mercenaries, give it a go until you learn something, and then kind of branch out into the one that interests you the most. I started with Sisters and Chaos. I have campaigns going with both of them, and I knew what I was doing. I'm familiar with the setting and the game itself, and even then it was a little bit challenging. I had to restart my Chaos Warband, actually, they got smashed and I had to disband them and start a new one. And that's something you're going to get used to in Mordheim. Is one of the key things about Mordheim is that there's no saving. You cannot save your game, and there are permanent injuries and there is death. So your warband members are going to get injured and there's nothing you can do about it. There is no save game button. If you Alt F4 out to try to crash the game to prevent your guys from dying, you're going to come back and find that your entire warband has been wrecked. So it can be a very unforgiving game in that way, but don't worry, as I'm going to show you, there are mechanisms in place to kind of mitigate that for you. So let's go back to the main menu and let's take a look at one of the warbands that I've already created so I can give you guys a better feel of what's going on here. Alright, so this is your war camp screen. This is kind of where you access everything in the game. It's kind of where you're going to start and spend a lot of your time. Different places you can go from the war camp screen. You can go to warband management, which is obviously how you heal your warriors, train your warriors, hire new ones, fire ones, etc., etc. This is the shop where you buy and sell things. This is the smuggler's den, which is how you ship off Weirdstone to the various factions in order to generate income. This is the campaign map over here, which is how you undertake missions and so forth. And this is kind of the next day tent button, whatever you want to call it. This advances the time, as you see in the top right corner. The game actually keeps track of what month, what day, and what year it is. And that's going to have some very interesting effects on how you play this game, as I'm going to show you guys. You also have the veteran system here, and we'll get to that in a minute. That's kind of a mitigating feature, if you will, that helps alleviate some of the pain and frustration of Mordheim being really a very lethal game in comparison to most of the games that you guys are probably familiar with. So let's start with Warband Manager. The first thing you're going to have to do when you jump into the screen is recruit a warband. You need a leader and 4 henchmen to have a warband. So you click on your Warband Management, and it likes you to click down here where the little widget is, and it'll take you to this screen right here, which is kind of the start of your warband management. So what in the world are we looking at here, right? Well, first, if you go down here to the bottom, you can click on warband here. If you mouse over it, it'll give you an overview. If you click on it, it'll take you to this screen right here. This will allow you to easily, now this button is not always disband warband. This is normally the button that you click to pay all your warriors and to pay for medical treatment. If all of that's been done and your status is normal, this becomes the disband warband button. So be very, very careful about clicking here. Several people have accidentally disbanded their warband. Did want to give you that warning right away so that no one accidentally clicks that. But having said that, this is an overview screen of your warband here. It tells you the rating here, how many members you got, etc., etc., current bonuses. You guys can see everything. It's all the little things about your warband. The name here, you can rename them. From here, I've named my warband the Valkyries. Gives you a description. Interestingly, it also gives you history. You can see kind of the it doesn't show you everything, but it shows a lot of the major events, including hirings, firings, when people get killed, and when you hit certain milestones like Victory Streak 15 here, 20 campaign victories, Victory Streak 20 here. See when I fire people and whatnot when you hire them. And you can also click on your stats. So that's kind of the overview of the Warband tab. And also how you get to, you can see it grayed out down here, pay and treatment. So we go back to here. All of these slots when you start are going to be empty, right? Just like this, right? There's just going to be a plus. And when you click it, it'll take you to this screen right here, which shows you all the warriors that are available for hiring in that particular slot. Now your warband is made of a leader slot, 2 hero slots, an impressive slot, and then 5 henchmen slots. These are your active slots. So these are the guys that are going to go on a mission when you pick to go on a mission. You also have your reserve spots over here. Now you can see your reserve spots are built like an impressive slot, but they don't have to be. Okay, what you have to keep in mind is a specific type of warrior can only go in a specific type of slot. For example, only a leader can go in a leader slot. In a hero slot, you can put a henchman if you really wanted to, I suppose, but you can also put a hero, but a hero will only go in a hero slot. In an impressive slot, you can put an impressive warrior. You could also put 2 heroes, as you can see I've done here, or 2 henchmen, or 2 of whatever you want. But for me, you know, I like to have my impressive warrior in my impressive slot. You can see up here in the top left, impressive, yes? But you may not be able to hire an impressive warrior either because you're not high enough skill. Warband rating wise, for example, you're only level 4, not level 5, or there may not be one available. In that event, you can actually fill this slot with 2 heroes, as you see I started to do here. There's an augur hero, and I could put another hero in this slot, and then I could pull this down, and I could have 2 people here instead of my 1 impressive. It all depends on how you want to build your warband. You've got some options there, as you can see. It's very, very interesting. But the first thing you're going to do is hire a leader and 1, 2, 3, 4 henchmen. You initially don't have this 5th slot here unlocked. Now if you click on this slot down here, it'll take you to your actual individual warband members. Now over here on the left, you're going to get a whole host of statistics that make up the warrior. They are broken down into 3 broad categories: physical, mental, and martial. Each of those is broken down into 3 specific attributes, and those all interact in a way to give you your kind of other stats: movement, dodge, morale, initiative, parry, your resistances, etc., etc. They're all interactions of the 9 main attributes. I strongly encourage you at the start of the game to spend just a few moments, mouse over each stat, and see how it affects the individual warriors, because you only have a finite amount of points that you're going to be able to use to increase these attributes. And because you only have a finite amount, you want to make the most of them. You'll see each attribute. For example, strength, I have a maximum of 12. I think when Etta started out, she was at like a 4, and I've had enough points to increase that up to 7, her strength up to 7, and her agility up to 6. In hindsight, that may have been a mistake of mine, because now that I've kind of mastered her, she's as high as she's going to get. I don't really use agility for anything. I try to avoid climbing and whatnot with her because she's in heavy armor with a shield, and so were those points that I invested in agility a really good investment of points? I don't know, but I made them because I didn't pay enough attention to what the stat did and where I wanted to take Etta as an individual warrior. So don't follow in my footsteps, learn from my mistakes, spend just a few moments, mouse over these stats, see what they are, and think about what you want your warrior to be and which stats you need to increase the most. Over here you get a description of your warrior, and it will tell you what he or she is proficient at. It will give you your melee proficiencies, your range proficiencies, and what armor you can wear. Pay attention to that because it tells you what you can and cannot do with the warrior. So between the description over here and kind of the stats and your idea of what you want the character to be, you should be able to determine which stats you need to improve and which ones you can kind of leave alone. For example, all the sisters, I've left their ballistic skills alone pretty much because guess what? None of them can use ranged weapons. You can see range proficiency, none. They're all that way. So I focused my martial points in the weapon skill and accuracy categories. Now that was very easy, obviously, because it was pushed on me, but that's what you guys want to try to get to in your plays at home, is you want to look at where can I focus my points and where can I get away with a minimum. Now each warrior, based on their proficiencies, has an inventory. As long as you are using stuff that they are proficient with, you are free to do whatever you want with your warriors. They have a head slot, they have an armor slot. Each warrior carries 2 sets of weapons, a primary and an alternate set, and then they can even carry items depending on how strong they are. The stronger they are, the more items they can carry. In the case of Etta here, I've chosen to give her an amulet which increases her magic resistance as opposed to a helmet because the helmet interferes with her spell casting. I've given her heavy armor, a Sigmarite Warhammer, which as you can see down below is quick, it is savage, and it's blessed. That's the big thing, is there's a minus 2% chance for Divine Wrath, and I've given her a shield. I've essentially built her to be a tank. She doesn't do a great amount of damage per swing, but she gets several swings which do pretty decent damage, and with her heavy armor, her shield, and her weapon skills, she can just parry all day long. And see, that's kind of what I was talking about, how you make a vision for your character and then you tailor your stats accordingly. Just don't go nuts throwing one in every category just because you can. What you're going to be left with is a mediocre warrior that's not particularly good at anything. Equipment comes in 3 different flavors. Normal, everyday equipment is white text, as you can see here. Good equipment is in blue text, and it offers some advantages over its white counterparts. It also has a rune slot. You can eventually unlock runes, kind of an enchantment system, if you will. And there are also, well, for lack of a better word, epic equipment, which is purple. I have not found any weapons that are epic yet, or armors, but I have found items. So as you can see, there is a great deal of customization that you can do with your warriors. You can do all kinds of things with them as long as you work within their proficiencies, and you just click, click, click. And that's just all there is to it. You just customize away in terms of their equipment set. Now beyond that, you also have the option to customize. You can click on the head, gear head, you can click on the armor, torso, arms, everywhere on your warrior, belt, tabard, arms, you just click. And then you can rotate the model. You can choose from various different models that are available. For example, we're looking at our, should be our left arm here. Style 1, Style 2, and Style 3. And then within each style, you have a host of colors that you can pick from. So as you can see, with this number of slots, 2 or 3 different models, and then anywhere from, in this case we only got 2 colors, but frequently you'll get as many as 18 different colors to pick from. You can spend hours customizing exactly how you want your warrior to look. Unfortunately, you can't adjust the model. The model is what it is, kind of, per se, the kind of base, if you will. But yeah, you can make them look like they're wearing clothes. You can make them look like they're wearing heavy armor. It just depends on the models you pick. It's hours of customization if you really want to dig that far into it. Again, going back up here to the top here, you have the skills tab, and this is a very, very interesting system. On the right you have your passive skill wheel, if you will. On the left you have your active skills. Active skills are skills that you actually have to use. Passive ones are ones that she has by her nature, and they're just always there. So first decision you have to make, I have 2 unspent skill points. What do I want? Do I want an active skill or do I want a passive skill? Let's say I want a passive skill. Easy enough. You click on an open circle with a little plus sign, and voila, here are the passive skills. Now there are a whole host of passive skills. These are all strength based. Then you have toughness based. Guess what's next? Agility based. Yep, on and on and on through the 9 primary attributes. And you just go down, you read, and figure out which one you want. What is it that you want her to do? What is it you want your character to be good at? And you pick one that you think best fits that build. Well, I don't find any passive skills that I'm particularly sold on. I'm not sure what I should get. Well, okay, go over here, choose active skills. You can go down through the active skills, see if one of those tickles your fancy. If you've only got 2 skills and you can't really find anyone that you like, you can actually click on the skill itself. And if you have 4 skill points and the necessary gold, you can master that skill. You can see in this case we're dealing with tactics. Tactics is kind of a, I didn't know what to pick from at the start. I wasn't sure where I want to go, but I figured I can't go wrong with tactics because it increases my dodge and parry chance by 5%. In this case, I can, it doesn't say the required attribute. Normally there will be a required attribute here. But if you meet that attribute requirement and you have 4 skill points, you can take that 5% bonus to dodge and parry and increase it to 15%, mastering a skill. That's how you do it. So again, just hours of customization opportunities here. You just read through, pick the one you want, and you can make your warrior play exactly the way that you want them to. Some of them even have spells available. Spells work the same way. Just like skills, you pick them, you can also master them. And this is for every warrior on your warband. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. There's also a skin system. I guess I'll show you guys that real quick. If we go over here, if you see preset skin right here, you can click one of these and it'll apply broad color presets without you having to click through everything, so you can get generally the look that you want for your warband without having to go through each individual warrior and each individual setting. Quick way to do it right there. From this screen you can check out your warrior's perks. Some warriors will have special perks. Here we go. You see Annex, she's my hero. She's the Purifier. She has Last Stand perk. She always fights to the death, prevents the use of the flee and retreat actions, which means I can't get her to fall back Even if I want her to, she won't do it, but she's immune to all alone. Anytime you're outnumbered in combat, in melee combat, if it's 2 enemy warriors picking on your 1 warrior, you'll have to pass an all alone check, which is leadership based. If you fail the all alone check, the warrior will run away. They're not going to stand there and fight outnumbered. When they turn to run away, you give your opponents free swings. So that's why Last Stand is a perk. It's kind of obnoxious because she won't fall back when I want her to, but it's nice because I don't have to worry about her being surrounded. And as you can see, she's also a divine spellcaster. In addition, from this screen, you can also check out injuries. You can see that twice Nick has suffered light wounds. Fortunately, light wounds don't adjust her rating by anything at all because it has no permanent negative effects. It's just a flesh wound, right? But that's not always going to be the case. If we take a look at Elsbeth here, we can see that Elsbeth took a hammer to the head and as a result has a mental condition and has adjusted her temperament, if you will. She suffers from violent mental derangement and will never again disengage or flee from the enemy. So again, it kind of cuts both ways. It's nice in that I don't have to worry about Elsbeth getting surrounded and then trying to run away and get killed because she turned her back to run. The flip side is I can't get Elsbeth to fall back when I want her to, when she would probably be better off doing so. How do these injuries happen? Well, when your warriors run out of hit points on the battlefield, they're not dead, they're just out of action. And at the end of the game, win or lose, when you come back here to this screen, it will take you through a rundown of what happened to all of your warriors that were put out of action. First, there's did they make it back or not? They will, in my experience, always make it back. The question will be whether or not they made it back with all of their equipment. So that's why it's always good to have some extra equipment on hand, because you can lose equipment. Assuming that they made it back, the next will be what injuries did they suffer. And there are a whole host of injuries that they can suffer. Broken jaws, mauled hands, loss of an eye, hearing impairment, crushed skull. You can lose an arm, you can lose a leg. Just all kinds. Sometimes you will take 2 or 3 wounds on the same character just for going out of action once. And you can actually die outright. And again, as I alluded to earlier, you cannot avoid it. Don't even try. Don't try to escape out. Don't try to alt-tab. Don't try to alt-F4, any of that. Please save yourself the time, because all you're going to do is crash it, and when you come back, majority of your people are going to be injured. It's right there in the patch notes. So what you need to do is just weigh out very carefully, do I still want this warrior? If it's a novice, a regular henchman who's not even level 1, level 0 yet, and it's their first battle, just fire the warrior and be done with it and get your new one. Where it comes into play, though, is a situation like this. When Elsbeth suffered her amok injury, she was level 4. And so I had to weigh out very carefully, do I want to lose a level 4 hero, a sister superior, just because she's amok? And I chose not to. I've kept her in my warband, and I've played with her ever since. My Chaos warband, similar situation. I've got guys with crushed hands and whatnot. Again, it's very, very interesting and something you're going to have to weigh out and play around. I always keep backup near Elsbeth, because I know that if she gets in trouble, she's not going to fall back on her own. So that makes for a very, very interesting system. And you can also see the history of the character here. Like, we can, I'm pretty sure, go back through. There you go. On the 11th day of her career with the warband is when she suffered the injury amok. So yeah, all kinds of interesting things that you can do here, and I love the customization. I love the level of detail. So let's go back out to the war camp screen and see what else we got going on here. Here we have the shop. The shop's pretty basic. You got to buy and a sell tab up here. You can see that I've got some, I could talk about epic items here, although I have not found any epic pieces of weapons or armor. You can sort it by the different categories, and you also have market event. You can see here that there have been bandit raids this week, and so nothing new has reached the market. Typically every 7 days you'll get some new arrivals in the market. This week I didn't. Doggone bandits. I wish there was a mission to attack bandits, but unfortunately there is not. You can make a little bit of money buying and selling things in the shop, but typically that's going to take some veteran points, and you're never going to make enough to completely fund your warband, because not only do you have to pay for treatment, after every operation for anyone that was injured. You also have to pay their pay. Obviously, the bigger and more skilled your warband gets, the more it costs to pay them after every operation, which leads us to the Smuggler's Den. The Smuggler's Den is how you're going to make the majority of your income. What is the Smuggler's Den? Well, the Smuggler's Den is comprised of your primary faction and 2 secondary factions. These are the people that you are shipping the weird stone to. Each faction has a reputation bar. You can see it up here at the top, and there are 5 levels of reputation that you can acquire with each faction. Each level of reputation that you unlocks certain bonuses for you in terms both of items and sometimes of types of characters that you might not normally be able to get. As you see here, if you click on Sigmar's Haven, a secondary faction, I can get Marchman if I get to level 4 with them, which is a huge boon to the Sisters of Sigmar because we don't have much in the way of ranged combat. So lots to do here. You will notice that Weirdstone prices vary depending on who you're selling to. I have sold Weirdstone to Brigginsburg the least, so it's in more demand there, so they give me the best prices. Kind of the only fly in the ointment in this system is that periodically your primary faction will demand that you send them a certain weight of Weirdstone, in this case 250, and they will demand it within 11 days. You can see 11 days left to make your shipment here. So you're always playing this game where you're trying to gather Weirdstone no matter what else you're doing on the map, and you're always selling it, because that's how you make your money, that's how you pay for everything. But you don't really want to be in a situation like I am right now, where you just sold the last of your Weirdstone in order to get some training done, and now they request 250 weight of Weirdstone and you have none on hand. It can get very, very tricky. So that's kind of a quick overview of how the Smuggler's Den works. If we go back to the camp, the veteran system. This is probably worth taking you through right quick. You've probably noticed that Mordheim is very, very lethal game, and it's very likely that you may have to start over. Don't feel bad. The first Chaos Warband I made, I got ambushed in my first operation. I lost half of my henchmen, and it was just not worth it. I started the warband over. And you say, well, that's frustrating. Why would I want to play anything like that? Well, don't forget that you have the veteran system working for you. What the veteran system is a system that's working under the hood, regardless of which warband you choose, regardless of which save game you're on, no matter what. Kind of this system is saved for you, for your computer, and it's saving progress, if you will. Every time you achieve something, you're awarded so many veteran perks and veteran skill points, and those carry over across warbands, across saves. No matter where you're at, you still keep it. So example, you see here current perks: the buying price of items are reduced by 9%, selling price increased, new warbands start with 150 gold, I can get up to 6 warriors. All this carries over to every warband. So even if I completely lose this Sisters of Sigmar warband and I have to start over, I don't have to start over from scratch. I'm going to have all of these benefits going for me. And if I start a new mercenaries warband, human mercenaries warband, I don't have to start bone scratch. All these perks will still be there. And not only do you get these normal perks, kind of the vanilla bonuses, if you will, you get skills that you can choose, and these are the ones that are particular to your warband. What is nice is that the points, not the particular skills, but the points will carry over even to a brand new warband. So if I start a brand new warband, the first thing I want to do is I want to go into veteran system and I want to open up my veteran skills. I want to pick my veteran skills because I can pick things like commander, which reduces the upkeep costs of leaders and impressive warriors, right? Probably the first thing I want to pick maybe is renowned, which reduces the cost of hiring all my new warriors by 10%. That is a huge boon when you're starting a warband, to pay 10% less for a leader and 4 henchmen. So, you know, and just again, endless possible. Look at all the skills available to you. And then you can master each one of these on top of it. And these don't cost you anything to master. These just sink the point into it and you can master it. Doesn't cost you anything. So yeah, if your warband gets wiped, it's going to happen probably at some point. Don't feel that you've lost everything. You have that veteran system there running in the background to help you out if the worst happens, and I think it's a really neat way of doing things. In addition, this character right here, it's different for every warband. They all each have their own. is called a dramatis persona. They will fight with you in story missions. Story missions are harder than regular campaign missions. They have reinforcements. The enemy will always have guys out there. You can't take them all out. They continually get reinforced. To compensate you for that, you get the entire complement of your warband minus your reserves, plus this dramatis persona right here who will fight alongside you. So that's who this person is, and that's why she's standing there in the veteran system menu. Very, very, very cool. So how does all this work together? Well, to show you that, I need to show you the campaign. So we click here on the campaign wagon. Your campaign map will always show you 3 missions available, right? And sometimes you will have a story mission which will advance the story. And what you do is you consider, alright, do I have a shipment due? Yes, I have a huge shipment, 250 weight, due in 11 days. So then I look at the missions, right? Here I have a hunter and prey mission. It's difficulty hard. The secondary objective which you must complete in order to get a decisive victory is Weirdstone Rush, which means I have to pick up the 55% of the Weirdstone that's on the map. There's an average amount of Weirdstone on the map and a poor amount of scavenge points. That's points on the map where you can pick up stuff that may or may not be Weirdstone. It may be armor, it may be weapons, whatever. And then you have the deployment rules down at the bottom. In this case, both warbands divide into 3 strike teams and disperse in the area. That's a good deployment. We like that. It's even on both sides. But what we don't like is that it's a hard difficulty, so probably somebody's going to get hurt. There's only a mediocre amount of Weirdstone out there, and I only have 11 days to come up with 250 weight of Weirdstone. Not a bad combination of mission properties there, but not great. And then if we look at hard average, look at this one for example. Normal difficulty, right? So we may be able to get out of this without getting anyone put out of action or injured. Unfortunately, the secondary objective is crush their will, which is capture their icon from their wagon and then get it all the way back to your wagon. So right away we know that the odds of getting a decisive victory are small. And the availability of Weirdstone is average and scavenge points are poor. And look at the deployment. It could go either way. It could go good for us, it could go bad. So that's how you you look at the missions and you weigh them out and you figure out which one has the best chance of giving me what I need right now. Because don't forget, if I take one of these hard missions and half my warband gets injured for 2 days, I'm going to lose in total 3-4 days off of the 11 that I have available to come up with 250 weight of Weirdstone. So that's why you balance all of this out in your head. This is the advantage of having scouts from the veteran system, is you can press the little button and for so many coins you can send out scouts who will pop up a different mission for you. That's how we got this 4th one right here. So what I'm thinking about right now is I'm going to take the scavengers mission, I think. And the reason I'm going to take it, yes, it's difficulty hard. I don't like that. I kind of like the average difficulty better when I'm on a deadline. But I like that the availability of Weirdstone is good, which means there's going to be more than 1 or 2 clusters out there. The clusters are what you really want. They give you a huge chunk of the weight that you need. So that's kind of an overview of what's going on in Mordheim, all the different things you have to weigh out. I'm going to end this video here. In the event this doesn't really interest you, hey, it's alright, no big deal. If you do like the look of this, check out my next video. I'm going to go ahead and record the next operation that I do so that you guys can see how the combat works and everything. But either way, if you like this type of scenario at all, this kind of more cerebral gameplay, turn-based tactics, small units, fantasy setting, melee combat, magic, customization, if you're into all those things, check this game out. I really don't think you're going to be disappointed. If this doesn't interest you at all, then you know what? No harm, no foul. Don't worry about it. I'll have more Mech Warrior, more World of Tanks, more Armored Warfare coming on the channel soon. But I think this is something that I'm going to stick with. And if you guys do like this, drop a like of the video, please. Send me a comment down below. If you do like it, I'll continue putting videos up. If you don't, well, I'll just keep playing this for my own entertainment. So again, let me know in the comments down below. As always, you guys take care, and we'll see you next time.